Welcome to the fight game. He's Icewater. I'm Puma. And there were a couple of fights last night that I had a chance to check out. I know you had a chance to check out. Caleb Plant and Jamaro Charlo, who were supposed to fight, I believe, after they were supposed to win these two fights. But Plant didn't seal the deal with Resendiz. And I just thought when I watched the Plant fight with his opponent, after the sixth round when he got rocked, he didn't want to fight anymore. Plant didn't want to fight anymore. And I saw this in the Canelo fight. It seemed like his stamina takes a hit after he gets rocked. And he thought it was a close fight, close enough. It could have went either way. I looked at the fight twice and I'm like, no, there was no way. And whatever judge who scored a 15-13 in Plant's favor, I think an investigation needs to be put out on him because there was no way that Plant came even close to winning that fight. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you. When you watch a Plant fight, the one thing you learn about Caleb Plant is if he's receiving any pushback from an opponent early on, you need to see whether or not Caleb's going to respond, right? And as we got later into this fight, you can just see that his opponent was moving forward, and not only was he moving forward, he kept punishing him, right? A la what, because early on in the Caleb Plant versus Canelo fight, Plant was really lively, moving around. Some people thought he was winning that fight.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
but then when you saw what Canelo started to stalk him, a la what this opponent did. And not only did he stalk him, he was catching him. And when I saw that the opponent, was he say,
Resendiz.
Residis. Residis was coming forward and he hit him a couple of times and he cut him.
Yeah,
And you start to see the blood flowing. I was like, oh, he's in trouble. And after a while, as you said, you could tell his effort was not there. Plant did this because that's what I'm going to say. Plant's effort was not there. But this guy kept coming and he could just, it was almost like he knew he had him. And his corner was telling him the same thing. Don't blow this because they were talking about some other stuff about headbutting and stuff. He's like, don't blow this. Stay focused. What you need to do, and let's go become champion. And that's what he did. And I think I don't know if Caleb Plant had an off night. He's doing a lot of talking, saying what he wanted to do. But this guy clearly won this fight and is now the new champion.
yeah. It seems like Plant hasn't been the same since the Canelo fight, and this is kind of his mo, where he just runs out of gas in the later rounds. And he was just throwing an uppercut, thinking that okay, this one punch is going to take out this opponent, and he wasn't throwing any combinations. He wasn't really kind of. It was almost like he wasn't really into the fight anymore, and I question whether or not he should still be fighting at this particular point because he was looking to fight Jamal Charlo, and I question whether or not he even wanted that fight because Plant was a 25-1 favorite in this fight. I mean, you lose a fight like this, it kind of questions whether or not you wanted to take it to the next level because he was talking a lot of junk in this fight and other fights. He slapped Charlo, and now all of a sudden he doesn't want to be in a ring with him. And it's almost like he was taking a loss and saying, I don't want to go forward with this.
Now I can see that, but they asked Charlo about fighting the new champion. And he's like, nah, I'm good right now. I mean, he probably would fight him, but he goes, I want my lick back.
So you're saying he's not going to get out of that getting that slap?
No, he's like, I want my lick back. And I don't care. We can make a belt up. That's what Charlo said. Plus, you got to realize, to me, I think, Charlo was having some personal issues
Yeah.
outside the ring.
They said him and his brother just kind of made
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
But the fact that Charlo is going, he went from 160, 168 to make this fight. So he's basically telling Caleb Plant, I, I'll come up here. I don't care. We can fight at 185. Whatever you want to do, I
Yeah.
want you. I want my leg back. And for him to go all just automatically go from 160, 160, 168 tells you how bad he really wants to make this fight happen with Caleb Plant. He's on a mission. He's focused. He tells you that he's back. He has showed a little ring rust early versus Lamana, but it was just a matter of time. And now I think Jamal is like, I wouldn't mind fighting for that belt, but everybody knows what I want. I want my leg back. I want to show you that you made a mistake doing what you did.
So I want to, segue into that because I thought Charlo, he didn't look like he had rust, right? Because he fought Thomas Cornflake Lamana. Hey, I guess he was 39, 6-1, 18 knockouts, and dropped him in rounds 3, 4, 5. And then the doctor was like, in round 6, like, nah, he can't take anymore. And he looked so disappointed that he couldn't fight anymore. Like, dude, you'd have been laid out on a stretcher if it had gone any longer. But it seemed like he was just taking his time. He knew what he wanted to do. And, Lamana had nothing for him. Maybe you call that rust, but I call it, just a solid effort and almost like a sparring match, in my opinion, with Charlo against Lamana.
Yeah, but when you haven't fought for so long,
Yeah.
the what a fighter like Charlo wants is rounds, quality rounds, where he can really show what he's working on, been working on in the gym. Kudos to him too, because he went back to his original trainer from back in the day.
Yeah.
So he kind of walked away from Randy Shields temporarily because he said he needed to get back to the roots of what got him started. So he went back to his original trainer, and you could just tell the chemistry. He says the way he talks to me, certain kind of way. He said he and his brother, I guess they went and got a gym. They got their own gym and simplified a lot of things so they could just work out together again and kind of made it like it used to be for them when it was fun. So now that's what it was, and yeah, you can just tell he's a lot more serious and sounds like he's done a lot of soul searching inside himself. But yeah, it's no doubt he wants Caleb Plant next.
Okay. So the question is, does Caleb Plant want him next?
We're gonna find out because we're
Yeah,
gonna
because it
find.
didn't sound like Caleb Plant, or it didn't look like to me, Caleb Plant wanted to fight at all last night. After he got rocked, it was like, oh, this is not what I want to, where I want to be, and this is not what I want to do. And I've seen that in the last fights after Canelo. It's like he's not the same fighter. I don't know if he has sometimes fighters kind of lose the will to fight anymore, and don't have that killer instinct. And I I was one that was a sort of a fan of Caleb Plant and the way he came out and fought and everything, and thought that I was one of those ones that thought he was beating Canelo until Canelo got to him, and then he wanted to talk to Canelo during the fight, like, "Oh, you're a great champion," all that, and stop the trash talking. And I'm like, I fell off after that, but it doesn't seem like he wanted to. It seemed like there was a deal that was going to be set, and it's like it just got turned over somehow. I don't know. Other fights that we need to look at.
Yeah, you got a fight coming up June 7th, a couple of fights in Norfolk, Virginia. Keyshawn Davis versus Edwin De Los Santos. De Los Santos is one of the guys that Shakur Stevenson fought earlier. Where people said that Shakur kind of ran from him, did just enough to win. So I think it's going to be a good test for Keyshawn Davis to see if he's ready on that end. And also in Norfolk on the undercard, Abdullah Mason, Cleveland, Ohio and fighting Jeremiah Nagatalia. So two interesting fights because the outcome could lead to some other bigger things.
So you're thinking the outcome with Davis and Abdullah Mason, they may be fighting each other.
Well, I'll say this. I think David believes he's on a higher level, right? Because of what he's done recently and the fact that he's a bigger fighter and he could go probably at 147. So I think he kind of feels he's on a higher level than Mason, but Mason has let it be known that in fact, I think Mason has more fights right now than Davis, which is really weird. But Mason's let it be known if you want to fight Keyshawn Davis, I'll fight you next. So it'd be good. It's great to have both of them on the same card. If they both finish up, I know that Abdullah Mason will be calling for that fight.
Now, do you recommend that this happens this early with these two?
Uh, Probably not for Mason, but it's like you know what? I don't have anything to lose. And I think he's that kind of guy. I think Keyshawn Davis is trying to show that that's why he took on the guy that Shakur fought. And if he stops him, it's like, you know what? I'm not trying to compare apples to oranges, but the guy that Shakur maybe uh, struggled with, I stopped him. So now that should elevate me to a bigger
Right.
purse. And I think that's why he particularly took this fight on. He wants to show the world, it took Shakur whatever he had to do. I stopped this dude. I'm ready. So for Davis, I'm guessing the question I'm asking is it worth it for him? Because he's going here, and I think he might see facing Abdullah Mason coming down, unless Mason wants to step his game up, fight somebody more of significance with a title, win that fight. Then it's like, okay, now yeah, you said I wasn't ready, but here I am. I did this, and I'm doing this.
Okay. Now, one of your favorite fighters, Nakatani, is scheduled to fight on the 8th. Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, Junto Nakatani is fighting Rosuke Nishida. It's June 8th. They're fighting, and they're both fighting in the bantamweight class. Both fighters have titles. I think Nakatani is number one at 118, and Nishida is number two.
So it's the WBC and IBF titles that they're
I
fighting.
think so. Yeah, yeah. So they both have one each, but they're going to put them both on the line. And for Nakatani, this is a great opportunity to show again how solid he is. This is quality competition, 1 and 2. And if he stops him, what's next? Everybody knows what's next. May not happen this year, but 2026, we want to see Nakatani versus Inoue, the monster.
And if Nakatani wins in a very impressive fashion, then we're going to hear louder shouts for this particular fight because the monster got caught in the last fight, and we were sitting there like, whoa, wait a minute, and he came back to his credit and battled it out and won the fight and put the guy down. Some people say that it was a premature stoppage. I didn't feel that way, but if he wins, when I speak of Nakatani wins in a convincing fashion, I see this fight even coming even sooner than that. To be honest with you.
Well, I think a lot of people are still learning about Nakatani.
Mm-hmm.
We got to realize too that this is going to take place in Japan. Two Japanese fighters. They say it may be one of the biggest, if not the best, fight ever in Japan boxing history. It's major, but you have these other boxing experts that are out here saying they think that they give a lot of love to Bam Rodriguez at 115, and they want to see Bam Rodriguez fight the monster. So you go from Bam is already coming up a couple weight classes, and now you want him to go from 115 to 122, right? To fight the monster. And I know because Ben Rodriguez has made a couple pound for pound lists and even above Nakatani. But I say it this way, yeah, for y'all, for those that do not know about Nakatani, Google this guy and see what I'm talking about. So on your way to 122 to see the monster, there's a place at 118 where Nakatani's sitting there waiting. And maybe they're trying to leapfrog Nakatani because they think it's more of a sexier fight money-wise with Ben Rodriguez, but Nakatani will take on all comers. I just like his style. Um, he is a problem. And I'm not sure Ben Rodriguez has faced anybody like this. And to see a guy like that jump through hoops, like going up a couple classes, a la Manny Pacquiao, I'm not sure if he can survive that when you keep jumping around. So you go from 115, you were lighter than that before, and now you're 118, or you're going to jump to 122. I'm not sure with the type of talent you're facing in a monster, in a way, the monster or Nakatani, if you're going to be ready and your power is going to level up with you.
One quick question before I get out of here. The super featherweight champions, you have the WBA with Roach, the WBO with Navarrete, WBC with Foster, and the IBF with Nunez. Who is the cream of the crop of that group?
Say those names one more time.
You have Roach, WBA champion, featherweight, super featherweight champion. You have Navarrete, WBO. You have Foster, WBC, and you have Nunez, IBF. Who's the cream of the
Well,
crop of that class?
I'm gonna say Roach because of the experience, right? The way that he fought Tank Davis was second to none, and we know the danger of Tank Davis. Never Ready is solid, but I think we saw Never Ready is solid, but I'm not sure if that special mark comes on. Shiny Foster, I think it is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's up and coming. But I think right now I'd have to say Roach, just because of his last performance. We won't know until after August rematch with Tank Davis whether or not it is. But right now I have to say Roach because he's proven to you by his ability to draw, or really some people can say won that fight and compete the way he did against Tank Davis. I think you got to give him the edge so far.
Folks, that's why he's the best analyst, boxing analyst in the game. He's Icewater. I'm Puma. This is the Fight Game.